Hey YouTube! Yeah, so check it. Isn't the light worked out well for the way it shines on this guitar? I'm doing it in the morning because I'm going out. Yeah, so this is a Millennium EXP, a Peavey. Quite a fancy little thing, has to be said. Again, these rotor sound straps squeak, it's not the bass. Yeah, so full scale. Full scale 34-inch bass, jazz bass layout. Really annoying how much squeaky that is. Yeah, so it's in actually really good condition. It's got some scuffs in the back. It's got a 5-bolt neck thing. 5 bit more is more, as Jingri says. Just got this in for a setup. There's no there's a handcrafted in China, OJBAJ20 935 20. I don't think it's 2020. It could be. That'd be 2 years old. No, I think it's older than that, but not sure. So this is the one that kind of reminds me a little bit of the Washburn Force. Well, bass, which isn't on the wall anymore, but not really when you actually look at it. When you're used to it, it's got a really long horn on the top. For a reason, as in it balances really well. It's one of those things. It's this kind of fits a bit, and maybe not. Actually, I do quite like it. It kind of fits in that category where you get the form, the function over aesthetics a little bit shape-wise, but you know, with a big thing. But it's actually pretty good. It's also got a really cool sort of hook thing on the headstock. I quite like that. I will remember what it is that reminds me of. I can't think what it is. It's got that wee sort of groove in it. Maybe it kind of reminds me of the, is it Chapman guitars, but also old Yamahas have a scoop kind of like that here, you know. They're obviously just trying to make, how do you make a unique headstock? I've not actually seen that before, so maybe it is actually quite a new one. Makes that look, obviously that makes that look very, very pointy if you put it in front of something light coloured, but obviously if you made it that pointy it would just snap off, so it's not. Decent steel tuners, quite a nice rosewood fingerboard. It's nice and dark. It's not like your powdery one at all. EMG looking, well, basically black plastic covers. It's a passive bass. You can use a high mass bridge, don't you? It's got like an extra bit of a, it's a little bit more substantial than your standard Jazz or Fender, your standard Fender thing. It's also through strung on the back. I think, I imagine this guitar, this is available with different pickup configurations because that's quite a big cavity. So if you're looking for, what, more knobs in there, plenty of room in this bass. So just put here, this is the would you call that the neck pickup? I suppose if there is a neck pickup, it's that one. I would kind of say it was a middle pickup. The neck pickup would be here. So you get the neck and the bridge pickup. This is the neck. And then this will be the bridge pickup. And to do my favourite thing, you turn both the pickups up at full bung, and then you turn down the bridge one a wee bit, and you get sounds like a P bass, which is my go-to for all jazz basses, was it, just to start with. I could actually come up a little bit, I think. Doing that. This is why I do these videos and testing things. Is that just going to, is it on springs enough to raise it up a bit? If not, I'll have to take it out. Very unprofessional, isn't it? So it kind of fits in a wee bit, I think, with the Ibanez Ergodyne ERG they're called, with that whole design for the player thing going on. Like P basses and jazz basses, they do look cool and everyone uses them. This is a better design, I would say. I mean, I'm a huge P bass fan. I just think they're just the best. But this is like a sports version where it's like it is comfier, it is lighter, it is easier to play. It probably sounds better. I think one of the main things about these things is, see if you're doing this all your sort of popping and slapping and stuff, these sort of basses do it an awful lot better than your vintagey style, your P bassy ones, stuff like that. But it still does all the P bass, jazz bass stuff. So let's stick some. I haven't mentioned the top on it. Look at this. Super fancy veneer. I would imagine it's not going to be a solid, piece of wood. That would be flipping expensive. It's not a photo either. It's definitely a wood of some. Whenever you get a photo, it's got a sort of, you don't get the depth in it. This kind of does have some depth, but are very, very pretty. What I'll do is I'll put in, again, I'm just blaming this guy. Some guy said, wow, I've never heard lead bass before, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a bit of a loop in the back. Just something as simple as that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll put on the guitar amp. Put the guitar in. High fuzz pedal seems to work well for bass. that'll run from the highest note to the lowest. I wish I had some other pedals plugged in that were like chorus and stuff. I don't. Really love having having that split thing where I'm playing splitting the signal before it goes into the pedal board, so I'm getting a clean bass and then fuzz coming through that. It really does sound great having two amps and playing them both. Turn the fuzz down a little bit. I wish I could take two amps in the Sabbath band. It'd be really handy. Because just the problem with when you do use fuzz on its own, like a normal guitar fuzz pedal, you kind of lose all the low end and the cleanness because you put it through a fuzz pedal. You do get like a proper like a bass big muff or something, or even the one I use in the Sabbath band. It's got like a wet dry thing, so you can kind of mix the distorted signal with the clean signal. But it's just not the same as having a clean and a fuzzy on at the same time. It's just fantastic. I wonder if actually I could maybe take, if I just ran it, I don't think it needs to be such a big amp. You know, I could get away with a smallish guitar amp for the fuzz bit, because you need the power for the bass end, but the guitar end for the fuzz stuff, it doesn't need to have any bottom end, so basically just a tiny wee amp might be a way of thinking about it. Maybe that actually would maybe be quite good for, that weighs a ton. Yeah. Like a 1x12 or something like that, maybe even a 1x10 guitar amp and the big bass amp might be quite interesting. I just think it would sound really good for the Sabbath. going home late last night. Well, suddenly I had a fright. I looked in the window and remembered I saw a fairies with boots running through with that dwarf. Alright now. I'm lucky we found such a good singer for the Sabbath band. Brian is excellent. Because there was why did I go in one time? I had to go in. I sang myself. That was just because Brian couldn't make it. This was before we got Brian, and I was like, right, well, Brian couldn't make it. It's too late to cancel studio. Do you want to go in anyway? And I just took the words in and sang all of it. And actually, I found out that I could kind of sing it, which I'm quite pleased that I didn't try. That the only one I ever tried was NIB, and it's quite hard to sing compared to the other ones, which I didn't realise that. I thought NIB was one of the easy ones, but it's just really hard. So I could kind of get away with, just by the random chance of the songs that we happened to be in the set at that time, I kind of could sing them and play the bass at the same time. There's lots of Sabbath that's just completely impossible. It's like the singing. There's a lot of it that kind of goes. He was turned to steel in the great magnetic field. That's fine because the bass is playing what you're singing. It's when the vocal line isn't doing it. It's kind of like if you've ever tried to play any instrument and sing Zeppelin at the same time. There's a couple of songs that you can do as a sort of acoustic. Stairway is one of them actually. You can kind of sing it and play it at the same time, but loads of it isn't because it doesn't. The timing's just on its own. Anyhow, rock on. Yes, these are good. I've no idea how much this cost. It's going to be a 300. That's a total guess. And it might be that new. It's just it's been a bit dropped a couple of times in the 2 years it's had. Just because a few scratches on the outside, but actually there's zero fretware, and the fingerboard looks brand spanking new. So maybe it is a 2020. Maybe it is only 2 years old. Peaveys are. They're weird. They're always there, but you just don't know anything about them. I quite like the guitars are pretty good as well. All of them. I mean, this isn't an American one, and I think if you go back to the sort of 70s and the 80s, there were a lot of American Peaveys in America, but I don't think many of them made it over to Britain. There's not that many. You do occasionally, is it the TA60, the TA50? You do occasionally see them, but not often. And never cheap. Whereas in America, because they were made there, they didn't have all sorts of import taxes and stuff put on them, so they were bargain. There's actually quite a few Peaveys you see in America. Kind of, this kind of era where it's like pure spike. There's one called a Mantis, I think. They look fantastic, and if I was in America, I'd totally buy one because you can pick them up for a couple $100. Here you don't see them, and if you do, they'd be 3 times the price. But I mean, how do I fault this? I fault it by it not being a Fender P bass because it doesn't look like one, which I suppose is the same thing when you're arguing it's a pure. Oh, what makes that not as good as a Les Paul? Oh, it doesn't say Gibson Les Paul on it. No, it doesn't. That's it. Functional wise, plenty of arguments to be had that this is actually better than a P bass or a jazz bass. It feels more. It's more sporty. It's like my Ibanez red Roadstar, the red one. It's like a souped up, turbocharged version of a Strat. It's a sort of turbocharged version of a jazz bass. Rock on!